Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio is sponsored by Honest Buck Accounting. If you're tired of spending time on the accounting and financial side of your business, you need to call Honest Buck. They are the experts in payroll, forecasting, budgeting, and tax preparations. Let them handle your P&Ls and get back to the business that you love and grow it. Honest Buck Accounting is a full-service accounting partner specializing in early childhood businesses. Their experienced team comes alongside your business to free you up and help you thrive. And to show their support of early childhood businesses, they are awarding a deserving center or preschool a $1,000 scholarship. Visit honestbuck.com/Kris Murray. That's honestbuck, BUCK.com/Kris Murray to register your center to win. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Episode 76 is going to, I would like to say it's going to blow your mind. Really one of the best episodes I've ever done, focusing on mindset and just your life. Jody Marquis, what an outstanding human being. What a great lady. And she really helps us shift our thinking around what's possible for us in our lives. And we dig in deep on some really important and mind-blowing concepts. We talk about powerful questions that you should be asking your team and yourself. We talk about, give you guys some tips on language and leadership scripts that you can use when dealing with tough situations, having those hard conversations. We talk about the drama triangle. And it's an incredible concept that I'm not going to reveal to you because I want you to listen to the episode, but you got to hear this, guys. The drama triangle, we talk about energy, we talk about fear, simply being energy in your body and how to release that fear from your body using a technique that Jody actually teaches on this episode, and so much more. Perhaps my favorite quote from this episode is, "We can only give back to children what we have within ourselves." And Jody Marquis is an incredible lady with years and years of early learning, early education experience. She runs the Chance for Change Institute, and she works with leaders to help them transform their schools. But it really starts with us. It starts with us, mostly us girls, and the few brave guys that get into this industry. But, you know, ladies, we oftentimes have habits that are not real productive and positive for ourselves. And we hold on to those because we either haven't given ourselves permission to release them, or we just haven't had somebody show us the path yet until today. And Jody Marquis is going to give you that. It's the title of the episode today is Keys to Happiness, Eliminating Fear, Drama, and Negative Beliefs from Your Life Forever. And who doesn't want that? So let's dig right in to episode 76 without any further ado. Listen closely, take notes, and enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am thrilled to welcome to the podcast today Jody Marquis with the Chance for Change Institute. Jody, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous, Kris. It's so great to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Where are you right now, Jody?
I'm in Vermont, way up in the far corner of the United States, next to the Canadian border. You actually can take a 3-minute drive and you'll be at the Canadian border. So
that's fantastic. How close are you to Burlington?
About 2 hours. It's
Okay.
about a 2-hour drive.
My sister is there. She and her partner are in Burlington. Her partner's getting her PhD in chemistry at the University of Vermont. So,
At UVM, yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Burlington
Well,
is very urban and I'm very rural. I live outside of my house is just farms. It's a lot of farming.
I love it. I am definitely more of a country girl as well.
Yeah.
Although I do like an occasional city fix.
Yes. I love to go to the city.
And then come home.
Yeah. And during COVID, being able to come home has been very helpful.
Right, for sure. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jody. What do you do? And tell us more about the Chance for Change Institute and the work that you do.
Great. So, of course, my name is Jody, and Chance for Change Institute is a company that was founded at my early care and education program called Creative Minds Children's Center. And that was in 2010. And it was an evolution of the question, how to find training and support to really help all of the people in the organization work together and come to work happy and ready to do their best work for kids. And I really struggled to find training. My experience was that people were doing all of these different things, and then they would come to work and there was a lot of confusion, and that would lead to conflict. And then I would be frustrated as the owner because I would go in a class and I'd be like, why are they not doing it the way it's supposed to be? And so it was a lot of pain. So Chance for Change emerged as a training program at my program. And I just began to dabble in my own professional abilities to teach and to coach. I had a lot of people in my life at the time, and so I would hire them to come and do training. And then I would kind of notice the training doesn't really work if I'm not reinforcing it. And so I just kind of organically became this on-site trainer and coach.
That's really cool. So from an owner of early care, an early care setting, I'm assuming. And how long did you own that school?
So I opened in 1999. And I grew the program over 15. Well, I was open for a full 15 years. The first 10 years was really about creating a model in partnership with the state of Vermont. So I was one of 30-something centers in Vermont that was identified as a place to really invest, because I live in a region of the country that's considered a REAP zone, which means that there's a lot of poverty. Mm-hmm. And I was the only early care and education program when I moved home from Burlington. I actually moved home from Burlington, and there was no childcare, and I couldn't find a job. And I had 2 beautiful children of my own, and I really wanted to work in early care and education because that's what I had been doing. And so I opened this program on a $5,000 loan and a dream to make a difference for kids. And everything that I needed to learn about myself and being a leader happened at Creative Minds Children's Center. When we closed in 2015, it was a devastating thing for the community. There was 120 children being served. 90% of them were coming from at-risk environments. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the funding just wasn't going to sustain. I was a very unique center. I received a lot of support, and the new government that came in around 2008, the global crash. So if we're comparing COVID to 2008, it was like, crap hit the fan with the federal government, with state government. And so I realized in that moment that what I was doing was very fragile work. Mm-hmm. That when we work in a system where we're relying on monies to support our people, and the people in charge change the plan inadvertently, thinking that it's, they have to do their jobs, there's a lot of unintended consequences.
Right.
So Chance for Change ended up growing. Other people in Vermont called me and said, I heard that you have this program. And it at first was a CDA training program where I could go in and everyone could join. And I just kind of did a scope of what each teacher needed to mm-hmm. align the work with Vermont's system. And so some people would work on their CDA, other people would take it for college credits because I aligned my work with the universities in Vermont and with Vermont's professional development system. So in Vermont, people can enroll in my school, and that could be their pathway to their degree or whatever they're working on. And so then it just grew. And at one point I was working with 30 programs. And then again, Vermont's in the process of restructuring. And I had a burnout. I got really sick from closing my own program and then doing this. So I took a year off to recuperate and came online. I'd never worked online, Kris. And I really quickly realized that there's an art to doing it. And I wasn't ready to take that on. So I've been kind of observing the field. I watch you. I watch lots of different people. And now I'm reintegrating. And Chance for Change is also working with women who have adverse backgrounds and are looking to step into their purpose, heal their story, and move into the world from a place of, I'm here to do something important, and here I am. So those are the big things. Thanks. Yeah. I'm all about the love, Kris. I'm all about the love.
Yeah. I mean, all sorts of things as you're speaking are coming into my mind for how we could partner in the future, Jody, but we'll talk about that at another time.
Please.
Great. So that's a really, really cool story and journey. And I love the desire to change, to help people improve their lives, their mindsets, face their fears, get the professional development training support that they need, both in the classroom and outside the classroom. So we are very much in alignment together with that. Tell us a little bit about, you mentioned that you're in the beautiful fields in the rural part of Vermont, upstate. What is going on for you at home? Are you married, kids?
Yeah, I am. I have a wonderful husband. His name is Steve. I have 2 grown children. And I have 2 beautiful grandchildren. So very tight-knit family. And my mom and dad are still here with us. And I have 5 brothers and sisters. And family is a very important part of my life. And so.
Great. Well, would you be willing to share a fun fact, something about you that hardly anyone knows?
Yeah. Most people don't know. Like, a lot of people will say, Jody, you're so confident and you're so inspiring. And I say, but you're not in my belly right now. So I actually am more introverted than people think. And I've just learned to make the adjustment in order to do the work that I want to do in the world. So I love people, but if I'm really looking at it from the perspective of my work, I prefer small groups, and I've emerged into this bigger space. I also play the guitar.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. What are 1 or 2 things that you see in the industry right now? And obviously we're in an unusual time with what's happening in 2020. But whether we talk COVID related or crisis related strategies or not, just what do you do when you're working with somebody that does not have a positive mindset, or how do you help them make that shift?
Yeah, beautiful question. It's such a big question, but so the first thing that I want to say is that I think that we can only give back to children what we've learned to give to ourselves. And that's kind of my motto in life. And I also know that people are operating from their own belief systems, and everyone wakes up every day and their only goal and intent is to meet their needs. So that they're not coming at the day from the place of wanting to be negative, but there's a lot of science that we have available to us now that really talks about why negativity occurs. And a lot of times it's just stress related. My number 1 approach to helping people is through questions and coaching. And how I really believe in helping people discover what they really want in their life, and then helping them to see how their choices are either leading them toward that or keeping them stuck. So, that's kind of the take. I think that we all have the ability to become coaches of others just through the way that we interact and question and bringing love to. And love to me is an energy of kindness and gratitude and just appreciation for every individual, regardless of what's happening on their end of it.
What are some of the key questions that are kind of your go-to or your favorite questions to ask in discovery?
Yeah, well, it depends on if I know the person or not. So if I don't know someone, I tend to just ask questions like, what you're talking about right now is very powerful and important to you. Help me to understand what's happening for you right now in your life that you're feeling so, stuck or frustrated or angry. And then I just really want to understand, like, what's going on for you. Are you willing to share that with me? And if I know the person, then it might be a little more frank, like, wow, I'm really hearing some powerful stuff coming from you right now. And, what can I do to support you in moving forward? Or what would be most helpful for you right now in where you are? I'm not somebody that's going to spend a lot of time going over the story. Mm-hmm. I believe in hearing the story and validating the story and honoring the story, but stories are what keep us stuck. Mm-hmm. So it's always my intent to ensure people that you have the power to change this if you choose to do it. As far from the perspective of supervision and employment, my old story would be to rescue and, hop on the fear triangle that I think we're going to talk about today. Mm-hmm. Because, I believed that other people's emotions were my responsibility. And that's a belief a lot of people walk around in. Like, if you're upset, then I must have done something wrong. And here, let me fix it because I can't stand to feel uncomfortable. But what I know is true is it's never helpful for kids to keep negativity around. So you either have to be willing to step through that and work with me to make a shift, or you need to decide what else you're going to do, because children deserve our best. And I think we all have a personal responsibility to show up for kids in that way.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Those are some powerful ideas that you just shared, Jody. I'll underscore a couple of them. One of my favorite go-to phrases for leading and empathizing and showing up for people and supporting them is help me understand. And you just said that. I love that. That's a go-to. I love that you said we often in this industry, perhaps more than others, because we are such heart-centered leaders, tend to feel that we have to fix people's emotions, or we immediately think that we're to blame, and we carry around kind of that baggage, or even enabling people to stay stuck in their story.
Yeah, codependency is a really big thing that's plaguing the field.
Yeah.
And actually, I can give you some data. I mean, I've tracked this over 10 years that I've worked in centers, and I would say that 8 out of 10 people that I've worked with are coming into the field and carrying limiting belief systems from their own early childhood traumas, that they actually get into the field because I want to make a difference for kids because no one made a difference for me, but there's this disconnect between what that really means. And so that kind of gets noticed as the codependent relationship where, I'm doing things for others that they could do for themselves. I feel defeated. I'm not able to step up and talk about what I want and what I need. And it's a burden on directors in the sense that they kind of get sucked into that cycle of, I don't know what to do with this because I got into this for kids. And now I have all of these adults in the building that I'm supposed to be leading. And I know this is my story. And that's exactly what happened to me. I'm like, wow, I really thought people could do this. And I realized very quickly, like, I love what I do, but I don't know how to help others like unfold into that. So it was really traumatic for me trying to run a high quality program. It was one of my biggest frustrations. And I had to go inward and do my own work. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about anybody else in my organization. It always came back to the choices I was making, and those were driven from my brain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. Powerful stuff. I also love that you are acknowledging, the first step to try to help people pass the emotion and their story is to use empathy and acknowledge that it's a powerful, deep, and potentially either troubling or, a difficult thing, and just acknowledging and being empathetic about the fact that it's not easy. And but I love that you also pointed it back to negativity isn't really, it's not a good place for children to be around. So we need to be the best that we can be for children. And I think if you even like write that down on a sticky note and have it pasted to your laptop, I think it's helpful to have kind of some of these key phrases in this languaging. I work a lot in scripting and languaging for directors.
I see that in your work. It's beautiful. And it helps people because it's just like with children, adults need social stories too.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of refer it to that. Like we're really no different. We can only bring to the world what we know from our prior knowledge. And so we're always operating from our belief system. And sometimes that's helpful and sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow. Okay.
There's science through Bruce Lipton. If you're curious about the science behind beliefs, like there is science that shows that 97% of our daily choices are driven from our unconscious brain. So awareness of self is so important in this work, because if we're not aware of what we're operating from, then we really have no choice on how to behave. That's what I want to say to directors. People are coming to you with their prior knowledge of what they know to be true about the world.
Wow. I'm really glad that you brought up Dr. Bruce Lipton, because I got the pleasure to see him speak on stage at the John Maxwell certification I went to last August. And what a mind-blowing
it's incredible
session.
work.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. I wonder if I could get him on a future podcast episode.
Yeah, please
Dr.
do.
Lipton, I'm talking to you, bud. Get over here.
He should be talking to this field. Well, I shouldn't say what he should be doing. But Dr. Lipton, if you were here, I would say inspire the world to know about this, because we're helping children create their happiness set points. Mm-hmm. And our beliefs are part of that.
Huge part of that.
Yes.
On the other side of the coin, what do you see right now in our industry that gives you hope, or that you see as people are making progress on, especially maybe during this difficult time?
Well, from a systems perspective, I think that we are finally at the point where people are getting the message that early care and education is the engine for the economics of all. Like without childcare, you don't go to work. End of discussion. So I think that that's a really beautiful emerging. And I remember when my childcare center was closing and how alone I felt, because I was in Vermont at that time. Everyone else was getting a raise because my funding cuts were a result of a restructure. So all of the funding that I had applied for was taken and put back into the pot to upgrade STARS, which is our recognition system. And at the time, I remember being at the State House, carrying all my families with me. And it's like, you're not closing our center, but no one else was there. And I just remember standing there going, the field doesn't understand that we're creating this. And I realized that maybe I was a little ahead of my time and I had to surrender to what was happening, and it did unfold. But what I see now is a big collective. Like it's almost like the 10 years ago closings were the catalyst for this like little awareness, like, oh, something's not right. We need to do something. And now with parents going back to work, like they really, in Vermont, I mean, it is hard and heavy. And I know it is in all states, but it's a new awareness that I've never seen before. And I'm really praying every day that early care and education doesn't sit back and allow this opportunity to go by. Mm-hmm. Like now's the time for us to stand as one and claim our seat at the professional table and say that this is a social service that we provide. Like we are solving social problems while people are going to work. And without what we do, our world is not the best it can be. That's what I believe about early childhood. It's the most heroic work that somebody can choose to do. So I always say that when I started training is just thank you for your service, because to me, you're the heroes that everybody unintentionally, I don't think it's done deliberately. I think it's just unintentionally people forget the value.
Yes. And I think that the value has come to the forefront, as you've said, in so many parents' minds. And what we talked about on the last episode with Tim the trainer, 2 episodes ago was the opportunity to come in to our communities and help parents in a way with facing what's going on with public school systems and potentially school systems and elementary schools and kindergartens not fully functioning in the fall. Mm-hmm. How can we stand up and also stand together? Now is the time to serve at a higher level. And, impact kids at a higher level and have all of those ripples go through the world. And I love that you said that, because you're absolutely right. And I'm just, feel very blessed to be able to try to help give people the tools that they need to feel confident, clarity is everything. And whatever you want to build, you can build in this life.
Absolutely. We create our own reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and the collective is a very powerful thing. And I wanted, to just add this in today, that one of the biggest gifts that I've been given in my work of healing, healing my own story, and then, bringing that to the work that I'm doing, is meeting people who really understand the science of the quantum world. And that collectively, when we can come together and create that reality in our space collectively, and we can feel and we can know that that's possible, the things that we need will show up. But if we choose to live from a lens of lack and believe that we don't have enough, and that, nobody cares about us and our voices are never heard, then we're going to inspire that result for ourselves. Right? Yeah. So I just say, get the science, because this isn't me speaking from, this is what Jody thinks. This is backed with the most innovative quantum science of today's world. And people that are, I just did a course with 10 providers. It's called Learn to Live in the Miracle Zone So You Can Thrive, even during a pandemic. And the 10 people that went through it, they're like, I can't even believe, I don't even know that there's a pandemic going on. And it's, it's because you've learned the art of getting up and seeing the beauty of every single circumstance. Right now is an opportunity of a lifetime for our field.
Well said. Woo! I love it. Let's get her done. That's right. The guiding principles of our academy, we have 5 of them, and one of them is abundance, not lack, and focusing on the beautiful abundance that our universe provides, and believing in that and manifesting it. And you are talking just my language right now, Jody. I love, love, love it. Let's talk a little bit about this concept that you teach called Faces of Fear, the 3 Faces of Fear. Talk a little bit about more about this concept and how fear is driving many of us in our communities right now.
Absolutely. Well, the model that you're asking me about is inspired originally by the work of a psychologist in the 70s, Dr. Karpov. I don't know why I drew a blank, but the long story short, it comes from the model of the drama triangle. And I originally used that in my work when we were developing our leadership program back in 2010. And now it's really, what I learned is, when we're on the drama triangle, meaning that we're rescuing, we're in this powerless victimhood thinking, or we're persecuting others. So it's like blaming, shaming, and complaining. It's the 3 voices of victimhood that really keep us stuck in powerlessness, where we become very unhappy people. And we do it because we don't have the skills to not do it. That it's really that simple. We blame others, we complain about what's not working, and we shame ourselves because, number one, our belief system is driving that. Because remember, 97% of what we do is coming from our limiting belief system, that unconscious operating system. There's perceived fear and there's real fear. What I've noticed in fear is that people with adverse backgrounds, especially, and I know in this field, people are scoring high on the ACEs test, that we have a field that really has some stuff to look at from their past circumstances, because fear is driven from the brain, and we make decisions in the now based on the past, because the brain goes to the past to decide how to react right now. But the way we create our future is by living that in the now, which goes back to the quantum science. So what is fear? Fear is energy. Fear is contracted energy that is inspired by emotions like overwhelm, frustration, anger, jealousy, hate. But where do those come from? Our beliefs and our lack of skill. So if you want to move out of fear, so we have in Chance for Change, we have a quote. It's the definition of courage, is when fear and love collide and love wins. And that's Jack Russell, and he's the founder of Self-Sustaining Leadership Model. But the reason I love that quote is because our emotions are actually here to give us feedback. They're not here to hurt us, but we're taught at a very young age not to listen to our needs, not to hear our little whispers. And what I learned in my own story is that over time, our bodies cannot handle it. And so what's happening for people in the field is they're storing all of this trauma from their life. And it doesn't have to be major trauma. It's just a collective energy over time that leads to this heaviness that we carry. And in Western culture, we don't teach about the chakra system as much as in other cultures. And what I've learned is that our energy system is just as important as our neural pathway system, that they work together. So in overcoming fear, it's about being able to notice the thoughts that are coming into our mind, being able to feel the charge that's happening. Am I in expansion right now? Or am I in contraction? And then being able to do sensory things like specific breathing techniques to move yourself out of thought cycles. Like, just, can I play a quick game with you?
Sure.
Or gonna laugh at me, but I do it all day long. So there's a thing called Mula Bandha. It's in the, lower chakra area. And when you're feeling stressed out, if you just squeeze as if you have, like you're going to the bathroom and you have to stop in midstream, if you just give a squeeze, you can feel how your brain just shuts down right in that moment. And all of a sudden you're in your body. And then if you keep squeezing and then you just kind of, and you do that, you can immediately feel your heart go into coherence versus incoherence. So that's moving you out of the fear sensory system into the more loving part of you. And then you can begin to make better choices. You can begin to question your thoughts because your thoughts are not real. They're just energy. That's all they are. And that's what I teach people. When your voice is saying you're not smart enough, or you can't do that, or you can't make enough money, that's a lie based on an experience that you had way back in 1864 that your brain recorded, and you're still operating from it. And it's why I lived in poverty for all of my 20s, most of my 30s. It's why I couldn't get out of violent relationships. It's why I was, struggling with addiction. This stuff is powerful. It heals people. And we can teach kids to do it. If we know how to do it, we can teach kids. Stop. Mula Bandha. Breathe. Okay. Now, what do you want to say to Johnny? Just ask for the toy. See if he'll listen. But what I see when I go into centers is a lot of, you took that toy and it wasn't yours and you need to give it back now.
Right.
And then there's a tantrum, and then it's, well, go sit in the chair and take a break until you're calm. Because there's a lack of understanding. That's all it is. Was that helpful?
Oh, my goodness. I'm just reeling right now with everything you just shared. I mean, the drama triangle is so... what happens also in my mind when I'm hosting these podcasts and speaking to amazing people like you, Jody, is that all the stories flow into me of all the people that I've seen overcome fear and trauma and get back into the flow of their life.
Yeah.
And we've helped them turn that around. But still, for me, for every human, there's times when I face it myself and I see my team members facing it, or my loved ones, or my children, everyone. And so what you just shared for strategies and tools in our toolkit is so amazing and impactful.
The two women that I'm working with in my life right now that are my coaches are Dr. Sue Morter, who's the founder of the Energy Codes. And her system is about healing from the inside out, and it's all breath work. So what I just did with you comes from the Energy Codes. It's part of my Women Thriving program. I'm just starting to use it in early childhood, but it's a lot of easy wellness techniques to help. Because what you're doing with fear is you have to create circuitry within your body so that you're not seeing the world through the limiting belief, because it's just energy. Limiting beliefs are energy, and that's what people don't realize. And you have to move that. You have to move that. Energy is, everything is energy. And so if it's not moved out of your body, it stores. It becomes heavy energy. And then the other person is Marcy Shimoff. And so I'm certified in her Happy for No Reason work. And that's one of the courses that I teach. And it's just helping people restructure the neuroplasticity of their brain through specific daily habits. And then also learning to connect with quantum energy as a way to create. The word used in our world is manifest.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I, right now in my Women Thriving program, I work with homeless people. I work with people that are on disabilities, and I'm watching people get off disability and find jobs. I'm watching people heal diseases that they think that they're stuck with for the rest of their lives. I've been blown away. And this is not my work. It's coming from, my international coaches. And I'm just like, I'm always that person, Kris. Like, I'll take what you tell me and I'll go try it. And if it works, I'll be like, go, Kris, give me more. Because I love to see people be successful. So if I find a model that works, I'm just all in with it. And that's what I'm seeing. Power, giving people power.
Yes. I love it. So let's shift into giving people some resources, because you've talked about so many programs, books, and then your own trainings. And I want to make sure that we give people because I know people are dying to know how to learn more. And by the way, I have a feeling you might be a Brené Brown fan.
Oh, I'm a very big Brené Brown fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I wanted just to lay that out there because I love Brené Brown and all of her work that she's done in these related components of drama triangle, specifically shame and blame. So what are you reading, watching, listening to right now? Or what are some resources that we can share around everything you've just talked about?
Yeah, so I'm all about happiness, healing, and leadership. Those are my 3 key words.
Okay.
So I'm always going to give you things in that. I'm going to just start with the things that have had the most profound impact on my life. So the first would be Marcy Shimoff's Happy for No Reason. Now, you just talked about something in Brené Brown's work, and I can't remember what I was going to say, but habit number 3 is about getting rid of guilt and shame. So there's an actual pose that you can do that will help you every day for 1 to 2 minutes. If you do it and you follow the directions, it's called the Empower March, and people can actually Google that. It's a very powerful pose with a specific way of thinking. And then the second one, this has literally healed my limiting beliefs at a level that is so profound. The Energy Codes by Dr. Sue Morter. And then for leadership, I'm sorry, but I'm going to toot my own horn.
That's great.
And I'll give you the horn of someone else. So I really love following the Conscious Leadership Group. I think they have a website and really integrate, very similar to what you were saying, the coming off of the drama triangle, getting out of lack and into fear. It's not geared just towards early childhood. It's geared towards leadership, and it's very corporate model oriented, but it's a beautiful organization. And then if you're interested in coaching leadership, this is my book that was published this past year. It's called Self-Sustaining Leadership, Essential Frameworks and Skills. And the Fear to Love spectrum is in here. But there's a lot of coaching tools for directors. So like, we have what's called a belief tracer, for example, and you can just do the activity with your team and everyone gets to identify the stories that they're stuck in. And then it gives you some exercises to help move out of the story and into action. So things like that.
How do you feel about physical stuff, environment impacting our flow of energy? So if we are surrounded by clutter, disorganization, and a mess, do you feel like that has an impact on energy, or is that kind of like...
Absolutely. Well, there's 3 things that we do. Like, I work with a lot of Reiki masters in my program, so we actually do energy healing. It's a part of what I do.
Yep.
And what I've learned about energy is that everything is energy. And if you don't move it, it takes up space. So nothing else can come in. So right now I'm running a Clear Your Clutter challenge. It's called 27 items a day for 9 days. And it's based on an Eastern methodology. I learned it through Marcy Shimoff, and people are going through and they're doing this and they're feeling lighter. And it makes a difference. The second way to clear energy is clearing emotional clutter. So every time we forgive somebody, for example, or we relieve ourselves of guilt and shame, we've made space for something to arrive. Mm-hmm. And the third is completions. So when we say yes to 800 million things and we don't follow through and we don't complete them, we become very heavy with what I call the incompletion list. So I often will run completion challenges where I'll have people write down all of the things. When you think about all of the things that are heavy that you haven't done, and they look at it, they feel heavy. And that's kind of the starting gate to how to learn boundaries around saying no when you mean no and yes when you mean yes. We can't be everything to everybody all the time. But ultimately, clutter is so unhealthy. And what I will say about it for children is it messes with the neuroplasticity of their brains, and they don't learn proper organizing skills. It's like really a math thing. Mm-hmm. They can't handle all of the stimulus. Less is better for kids.
For sure.
Absolutely.
My son, when he was a baby, had overstimulation issues all the time. And we did strategies like simplifying what was in his, like just simplifying to help him only look at the color brown, so he would calm down his breathing. So you could actually see it in practice. And so those are super impactful. I love those resources. I love the name of your book and look what's included in there. Can people buy that on Amazon, or can they just go to your website?
On Amazon and buy it.
Okay.
And it's pretty self-explanatory. There is a full system that comes with it. If people wanted to take the course, it's available. I only do it twice a year, and there's very limited seating. I'm actually looking to grow my leadership in collaboration with people. So I'm just putting that out there. Like, I'm not a one-stop person. I love to work with people. I believe in the power of collective. One more thing about environments that I would say to early care and education, if you're struggling with behaviors with kids, there's 3 pillars that I want to give people to think about. It's normally there's a disconnect in the relationship, the physical environment, or the way that you are teaching them skills through your curriculum. And I always just say to teachers, just take a look at the relationship, because it's usually a temperament difference that's occurring, and your needs are opposite from the child, and you just haven't learned how to adjust. So you're asking that child to adjust to you, which is creating secondary trauma, and it puts them into surviving because they can't get their needs met. The second is physical space, because we all have preferred ways of being in the world. And I always explain it, if you have a high active class and 75% of them are active and outgoing kids, and you're a reserved teacher and you're designing that classroom around your needs, you are going to be like so tired at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And then third, we're taught to teach curriculum through cookie cutter models. And I just caution people to kind of open your mind to being authentic and knowing that every child learns different. So if you're choosing canned curriculums, to make sure that the activities and extensions of those curriculums are in alignment with how the children you serve learn. Mm-hmm. That would be my feedback.
Those are amazing tips. I love the component of the high active class versus the introverted teacher. Oh my God. Because I've experienced that from a parent's point of view, where my son was in a 3-year-old class, 4-year-old class with 75% high active boys. And the teacher was just struggling. And I could feel her pain. I could feel like the beginning of the day, she goes, here we go again.
Yeah. She just didn't know how to adjust.
Yeah.
There's a whole model for that too. Yeah. There's a whole way to look at that.
So good, Jody. This is just pure gold that you're dropping on us right now.
Well, I feel really blessed and honored. A quick story about you, Kris. I met with Sydney months ago, and I was just learning to do online, and I just got really tired really fast. And I was like, I really want to meet this person. And I'm saying this to the world, because sometimes, everything happens in perfect and divine timing. So I really wanted to meet you. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to let this go. I wrote it on a little note. Kris Murray calls me for podcast interview. And I put it in a little envelope. and I blessed it. And I said, I look forward to my interview with Kris. And this was probably 8 months ago. And I got an email this week. And there you were. And I was like, oh, thank you. It's time for us to meet. And I was so excited. And that's an example of not feeling like you have to control where you're going in life, but to trust that everything does align. You just have to take action. So my action was to speak with Sydney, to form that relationship, and to know that she was going to put my name in, and that if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. And I want people to know, like, we don't have to operate from fear and feel like, that we're not wanted or lovable or enough, that it all unfolds.
Yeah.
So,
I love that, because I was going to do a shout out to Cindy on my team, Cindy Alexander, who is the one that connected us. And she put your name in the potential list of podcast guests. And I'm very, very grateful to her and for you to make that connection. So thank you, universe. Thank you for putting the little note in the envelope and starting the seed.
Do it anytime you want something. Just universe, send me this. And, sometimes it's not, you don't know the person, but sometimes it's like, just send me the resources I need to keep my program open. Mm-hmm. And you go about with this energy of just loving people. Go and do your job with the people that are there. Like, do the work you love with people who love what you do. And you'll be surprised how quickly things will unfold. And I see that in your work. The way that you speak, the way that you script, that's what you're helping people to do. Mm-hmm. To take responsibility for that.
Absolutely. I also love when you said the whispers, because as you become more experienced and seasoned in hearing your own whispers, you are able to act on those little shifts. Those are little gifts that the universe is handing you that if you're in fear, you typically won't hear them. Or if you're in overwhelm, or if, your life is just a hot mess, it's hard to hear the whispers. So I think getting more accustomed and just more seasoned at listening for that.
Well, we're taught to listen to our minds. That's what we're taught from a very young age. But we now have science that says we need to listen to our body. And if you actually just take 2 minutes a day and sit in a chair, close your eyes, and do a scan of where you feel discomfort, that's where you're holding all of your fear from the day. And all you have to do is squeeze into that, do mula bandha, squeeze into that area and just soften it and bring a loving presence to it. Love is an energy. What people don't know is the universe is actually composed of love. Like, that's the vibrational frequency that the universe is operating from. So the more you can match that frequency in your own energy, that's where the miracle zone unfolds for people. So these little things that we do to love ourselves and care for ourselves through understanding our body and our emotions are speaking to us through whispers. You won't end up in, a bed with fibromyalgia in burnout for 6 months like I was, because I didn't listen to my whispers. And I'm a very happy person, and I was very much a go-getter, and I achieved a lot of great things in my life. So it's not like I wasn't operating from fear in the sense of I had, an unhappy time of it. I just didn't process anything in my emotions. It was like, got that done, what's next? Got that done, what's next? And, we're all like that in the field. I mean, this is a field, like, it calls you out, right? You get up in the morning and it's like the phone is buzzing and you're problem solving all day long. Yeah.
It's exhausting if you don't have the right tools, and you're giving us so many of those tools today, Jody. So thank you so much. This has been an amazing episode. Tell us how we can find you if we want to find you online or work with you in one of your amazing challenges, which I want to co-host a challenge with you.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah.
I love it. The best way to reach me is just through my normal email, chanceforchangevt@gmail.com. Anybody's welcome to find me on Facebook under Jody Marquis and send me a private message or friend me. I love collaborating, networking, helping. I very much individualize and customize my work. You can go to my website. There's a chanceforchangeinstitute.com, and there is some basic structure to what I provide for early care and education and courses. But ultimately, I'm about the interview. Help me to understand what's happening in your life. what's happening for you, and how can I best serve you? Because there's not a one size fits all. Sometimes people need just a little bit, and sometimes they are in the trenches and they really need a lot of support. And I haven't been blessed enough yet to have that structure articulated in a website form, but clearly if people, connect, I can get that done very quickly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jody Marquis, you are an amazing lady. I feel very blessed to know you, and I can't wait to do more things with you. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being a voice for the field. And thank you to all of the people out in the world who are serving through their work with children. We are truly blessed. I love you. I just want to say that I love you and I want what's best for you. And I'm so glad, Kris, that you're doing this, because it really makes a difference when you can access high quality training and support.
Yeah. And we are all about making a difference. Thank you guys so much for listening, and just take care till next time. Everybody be safe and God bless. And we'll talk to everybody soon. And thanks again, Jody. This was amazing.
You bet. Take care of yourself. Have a good day.
Thanks. I hope you liked this episode of Care Rockstar Radio. If you did, please share it with someone you know and help spread the word to your friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, I'd like to give you a complimentary strategy session with one of my certified childcare business coaches who are standing by to help you get the results you seek in your business and in your life. To get your free session with a coach now, go to childcaresuccess.com. That's www.childcaresuccess.com. Take care and God bless.